The absolute dumbest ways to scam a lottery. Winning the lottery is not easy. If we talk about statistics, you are more likely to be hit by lightning. And that's not an exaggeration. Do you want to hear about the actual math? Well, to put it simply, you have a chance of 1 in 15,300 of being struck by lightning. The odds of hitting the Powerball jackpot in the US are about 1 in 300 million. So, you either go with the constancy and patience and an enormous amount of hope, waiting for randomness in the universe to favor you, or you decide to take matters into your own hands. And if that doesn't sound right, it's because it isn't. Scamming the lottery never pays off. And that's what you'll hopefully learn after hearing about the absolute dumbest ways to scam a lottery. And get ready to be surprised, because things will get increasingly stupid as we progress towards number 1. Eddie Tipton, the inside hacker man. Imagine working inside the lottery system itself and understanding its computational and mathematical complexities to the point where you can rig the system via modification of the probabilities that govern the game. It sounds really difficult and seems to be a job for a very smart person, a big-brained hacker, if you will. But this is a scandalous case in which a very smart individual gets caught thanks to their stupid procedures after executing one of the biggest lottery scams in US history. It was the year 2017, and Mr. Tipton was the former information security director of the Multi-State Lottery Association, overseeing the states of Colorado, Wisconsin, Iowa, Kansas, and Oklahoma. Thanks to his privileged access to sensitive data, he was capable of rigging the lotteries and winning a total of $24 million. After being discovered, Mr. Tipton declared, "I wrote software that included code that allowed me to predict winning numbers. Technically, I gave those numbers to other individuals who then won the lottery and shared those winnings with me." But how was he discovered? In the dumbest of ways. He was filmed buying a hot lotto winning ticket for a $16.5 million jackpot in a Des Moines store in 2010. Being a lottery worker, he wasn't allowed to partake in it in any way whatsoever, and he should have known that. Well, he was aware that he wouldn't be able to cash the prizes, so he conspired with 2 other men to act as collectors. They tried to cash the jackpot prize anonymously, but that wasn't even allowed in the state of Iowa. So the authorities quickly followed the clues, leading to Mr. Tipton. In the end, he was sentenced to up to 25 years for running the scams. William Foreman, the security officer. William Foreman was also an inside man, but his case was of much lower profile. He was a former security officer for the Hoosier Lottery, and his knowledge wasn't as deep as Mr. Tipton's from the previous case. But he was aware of the specifics of the distribution of tickets. That's how he knew where a $1 million winning scratch-off ticket was going to be delivered. The security breach consisted of having acquired access to a list of winning tickets from a coworker who had gotten it from the ticket manufacturer. Knowing he couldn't get involved in the purchase of the tickets, he shared the information of the ticket's location with a couple of friends who suspiciously went to the winning store in Cross Plains, Indiana, and spent $640 on a big purchase of several $20 tickets. Every last ticket in the store, to be precise. But lottery officials had already found out about the security leak and knew that Mr. Foreman was one of 3 lottery employees who knew about it. Even worse, when they tried to claim the prize, the lottery security chief immediately recognized one of the winners as someone Foreman knew. So from there, it all went down. Mr. Foreman and his friends Daniel Foltz and Chad Atkins were arrested in 2004. Foreman's friends pleaded guilty to theft and actually agreed to testify against Foreman in exchange for a lesser sentence. So they only got 1 year on probation. As for Mr. Foreman, he was initially looking at anywhere from 20 to 50 years in prison, but instead he was sentenced to 8 years of house arrest. Clarence Jones, the collector. Have you ever heard the term suspicious redemption before? We're sure you'll immediately understand what it is about when you learn that from 2011 through 2017, a man named Clarence Jones cashed more than 7,300 winning lottery tickets totaling almost $11 million. What are we dealing with here? The luckiest person on earth? Certainly no one has that amount of luck, and no lottery officials can remain that blind in front of such an obvious irregularity. Mr. Jones wasn't really lucky at all. He was just scamming the lottery and the government by helping other winners either to cash their prizes anonymously or even to scam other people. Basically, he worked full-time in what they called 10%ing, charging people 10% of the total winnings in exchange for keeping the anonymity of the real winner and claiming the prize to their names. This is done to avoid court-ordered payments of financial obligations, taxation fees, child support, alimony, etc. So he worked in conjunction with a couple of store owners by the names of Mr. George Kinsley and Mr. Bhavna Patel, who would propose the plan to the lottery winners they encountered at their store. All they had to do was wait for Jones to cash the prize, and then they would pay a percentage to the original winner and divide the remaining money among the guild of scammers. Mr. Jones was even reporting his income to the IRS as a professional gambler, so he could claim lots of losses and offset the taxes that would have been owed. It wasn't until 2015, when Jones cashed a lottery ticket that had been reported as stolen, that investigators decided to secretly monitor Jones's activities. The authorities used GPS tracking devices to discover Jones' methods and routes, and even managed to record one of the transactions on tape with one of the store owners Jones worked with. Mr. Jones, exposed, pleaded guilty in 2019 to conspiring to commit tax fraud and filing false tax returns. But he got only 2 months in prison instead of the 3 years federal prosecutors were looking for. The two accomplices pled guilty to their roles in the conspiracy and were sentenced to probation. Nowadays, the lottery has adopted a policy to catch these professional ticket cashers. Otis Latham and Russell Sparks, the dumb and the dumber. Now, we promised you stupid, and we will deliver, because this last case seems like something out of a children's cartoon. This one is the absolute dumbest way to scam a lottery, and speaks a lot about the low level of intelligence of some people that, for some unknown reason, seem to think they can hack the system. And no, not like in our first case. This kindergarten-level adventure cannot even be compared with Mr. Tipton's amazing feat. Okay, without any further ado, we'll tell you what these guys tried. Otis Latham and Russell Sparks were a couple of friends with a simple plan. All they had to do to have a ticket containing all the right numbers was to make it by themselves. So they decided they would just glue winning numbers on top of a losing scratch-off ticket. Yep, you heard that right. They would just glue the winning numbers on. Just let that sink in for a while. We don't need to explain to you that lottery tickets, or any other type of tickets in today's electronic world, aren't as simple as they look on the surface, right? Each ticket comes with lots of security measures that work together in order to determine the ticket's authenticity. A barcode, a serial number, a QR code, or any other type of identifier that quickly reveals the true values associated with the ticket. It's clear that lottery companies would implement security measures to prevent fraud, but it wasn't that clear for Dumb and Dumber here. Two adults agreeing to commit fraud together using glue to create an art attack project capable of embezzling the lottery. Man, it's almost surreal. The Mississippi Lottery immediately discovered the scam, and its officials told police that the men presented a doctored $100,000 jackpot-winning ticket full of fake numbers glued on top of it. Unfortunately for Latham and Sparks, they learned how lottery tickets work the hard way. A quick scan determined that the ticket was worthless, and both men were arrested and charged with conspiracy to commit a felony and presenting a forged document in January 2020. Mr. Latham was also charged with having a false ID with him. These two couldn't do anything right. They say that no one learns from the experiences of others, but we really hope you learned something from the cases in this video. And if you're one of the people that just can't help pursuing the dopamine hit that comes with playing the lottery, you better keep playing legally. Maybe someday you'll win a big prize that changes your life forever. Just remember, lottery games are complex systems governed by chance and probability, and you just can't cheat randomness itself. If entropy has set its course to favor you with such a blessing, it'll come when you least expect it. Relax and enjoy the ride.